What do you feel is the next step on technology? Where it can go in terms of, if we have mutual funds, I'll probably bring that equation into portion.
Sure. Will the human element go away completely? It cannot, because trust के लिए वो चाहिए. लेकिन अगर 80% of the things can be done with technology, and with that 20% human element, it becomes viable to service this next 19%. 80% are still struggling in India to even save.
क्या आज investors का understanding of their own risk? One is market risk, which I think fairly लोग अब समझना शुरू कर रहे हैं.
रिटर्न्स और लिक्विडिटी, आज की तारीख में जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो रिटर्न्स की ही है कि रिटर्न चाहिए, रिटर्न बनना चाहिए.
Right.
लेकिन रिस्क और लिक्विडिटी वाले जो फैक्टर्स हैं उसकी फुल अंडरस्टैंडिंग लोगों को अभी भी नहीं है. हो रहा है, इवॉल्व हो रहा है, समझ में आ रहा है. जब पर्सनल रिस्क प्रोफाइल की बात आ रही है तो टॉलरेंस एक चीज हो गई, दूसरा कैपेसिटी भी होनी चाहिए.
30-year-old today has maybe had a milestone change in his life, या तो शादी हो गई है या बच्चा हो गया, and somebody who is say 50 years, who's now looking at maybe next 10 years of working, has to plan, will retire. Planning, advice, advisory, analytics, platform, execution, artificial intelligence. If there's one word to encompass them, then it will be tech. But what about investors? Their goals, their plans, their preferences, their financial needs solved by technology. If there is one word to encompass them, then it will be fintech. And what about the people behind this tech and fintech? What about the processes? What about the vision behind this tech and fintech? If there is one word which encompasses them, that will be the founders, the X factor in the fintech. Mira Asset Investment Managers presents a new conversational series, Let's Tech, Tech with an X. Here we explore the genius minds of founders, CEOs, product specialists, and personal finance evangelists. And if they're seeing any investment patterns, behaviors which are unique to Indian investors, and how technology can reshape and build our financial needs with solutions. Join us on this journey. And if you find this journey fulfilling, remember to like, share, and subscribe our social channels. Now, let's tech. Hi. Welcome to this special episode. Today we have with us Mr. Vikas Jain, co-founder Multiple. Multiple is a lifestyle investment management app that enables users to plan, save, and invest and spend in the most efficient and rewarding way. Vikas, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
Let me begin with a personal side first, and then we'll probably talk more about how it's evolved over a period of time. When I look at the background, it started off as an internal auditor. Yeah. So from internal auditor to now being with a personal finance platform. I always thought auditors are to do scrutinies, right? Now we are looking at someone who's doing that. Maybe it's a play with numbers and that's why you're good at it. But I'd like to hear from you that this transition from there and couple of other things which happened in between.
Sure.
To here today.
Sure. So I was doing CA, so it is a natural choice that you have to do something related to the course initially, at least at the start of your career.
Right.
ऑडिट में, टैक्स ऑडिट वगैरह में इतना इंटरेस्ट नहीं था, तो चलो इंटरनल ऑडिट में कुछ तो बेटर होगा, थोड़ा मैनेजमेंट वगैरह के साथ काम करेंगे, समझ में आएगी चीज़ें. थिंकिंग दैट आई जॉइन इंटरनल ऑडिट, बट सून रियलाइज दैट I have a greater interest in equities because I had already started tracking some of the shares which my father had bought during the Harshad Mehta time, and then for a few years he had forgotten. But then again, during the 99-2000 boom, some of them were doing well, and that's how my journey of tracking stocks started. And since the interest was there, I decided to do an MBA. Went to IIM Indore. Had studied enough in CA, बहुत पढ़ाई कर ली. तो MBA में I thought maybe I should do other things. So I started a mutual fund on campus, which runs till date. Of course, it's much better organized today than the way we started. We just opened a joint account in the name of myself and my coordinator. But that was the first experience of actually, handling somebody else's money. And the interest developed further. Coincidentally, Goldman was on campus, got selected there, joined equity research. So the journey of equity research continued. And it was always about stocks, returns, but once I quit Goldman and I completed my CFA level 3, which has a lot of focus on personal finance and investments,
right,
I realized that it is not just about equity or chasing returns, it is much more beyond that. And the first thing which I did was restructure my own personal finances based on the recently gained knowledge. And I started trying to understand more about markets in general, about personal finance in general, more from my individual perspective, my own perspective, and also to understand the industry, because when I quit, I did not know what I will do, but I knew I will do something related to markets.
Okay.
But now this was beyond markets, right? It was not
Yeah.
just markets, but overall personal finance. And
managing someone.
Yeah,
someone
advising
else,
or
right?
managing,
Yeah.
somebody else's money or advising them. Now, while I was doing this self-study, and one of my batchmates, he asked me to advise, and initially I thought he's asking for friendly advice, but it seems he wanted professional advice. And being compliance grilled in my head during Goldman days, I told him I can't do it just like that. I'll have to register with SEBI.
Right.
And that's how I got registered with SEBI as an individual advisor. Started advising a few clients, more on the H&I side, creating financial plans and stock portfolios for them. But when I started doing this, one of my ex-colleagues from Goldman, she reached out asking me for advice, and I told her that there's a minimum ticket size which I need, which I have for everyone, of 25 lakhs, and she told that I have only 10 lakhs. Initially, I thought maybe she doesn't want to give me more, but then she explained the reasons why she has only 10 lakhs, and she felt genuine. But I told her, if I charge you fees basis 10, it won't be fair to me, and if I charge fees basis 25 lakhs, it won't be fair to you. And she just mentioned that who should we go to for advice? And I felt that this was a heartfelt disappointment which she had. And I went into flashback, and I realized in the previous few months, a lot of people had asked me to advise, but with a much smaller ticket size of 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs, maybe because they didn't have the money, or maybe they didn't want to give, whatever the reason be. But how do we take good quality advice to the larger mass was the question which started reverberating in my mind after this conversation with her. And then I thought maybe technology is the only way, because on a one-to-one basis, it is not viable below a certain ticket size, right? Especially if you're trying to do a good job, wherein you're trying to understand their financial situation and do a holistic planning, you need to spend time and effort. And that's when the thought came. And coincidentally, at that same time, I was doing some research on cloud companies and came across my co-founders through a common friend who come from a technology background. Their earlier company had just been acquired by a Fortune 500 company, and we started discussing about this idea. And क्योंकि मेरे को तो टेक की ABCD भी नहीं आती, तो टेक पार्टनर्स तो चाहिए थे, तो started discussing this idea of how to take H&I quality advice to the masses.
Right.
But once we started discussing, and especially because they came from a non-finance, non-investment background, the perspective was much broader, right? Because we sometimes tend to think from our own way of having a deeper understanding of things. They said, like, when they spoke to people in their circle, they realized that people get very overwhelmed by investments, and especially longer term is something which they can't visualize. What they truly identify with is aspirational goals,
right,
rather than the long-term goals of retirement and etc. Maybe those are things which can be pushed to them, but not something which they generally identify easily with. The other challenge which I realized was that, while it was easy to convince H&I about the value that we are delivering and the fees that they should be paying for the same, when it came to retail, the mindset to pay fees was still not there. It is evolving. Maybe it is much better today and it will evolve further. But at least at that time, it didn't seem like that.
So, I think you've touched on a very important subject about that one person who actually came and said that HNIs ke liye hai, ultra HNIs ke liye hai, and there are the in-between ones which do not get that much attention. And today from a number perspective, we are going to be a large portion by 2030. The numbers are going to go about something like 350 plus million families, right? Who are going to be, household income is there, and a major chunk of that is going to be in the segment that you spoke about. Is there challenges that you see which you feel data trends are coming out that this is a category which actually needs more attention?
See, certainly, any new way of doing things will take some time. A lot of education is required, and ऑल्सो इंडिया का मार्केट कैसा रहा है कि बहुत ही सेल्स ओरिएंटेड रहा है, प्रोडक्ट ओरिएंटेड रहा है, एडवाइस और सोल्यूशन ओरिएंटेड नहीं रहा है.
तो सेल्स रहा है, इट्स शिफ्टेड टू प्रोडक्ट नाउ. I can say we are there. Not exactly there, but we are there.
Sure.
You're right that next shift where it should be actually the other way around, but the next shift is happening now.
Right. So awareness is happening, but maybe still a lot more work required to be done, not just by us, but maybe by the larger industry participants, the regulator, and the people themselves, right? Who have to understand that it is not just about chasing returns. खाली रिटर्न्स के पीछे नहीं भागना है. हमारे जो गोल्स हैं उनको कैसे हम फुलफिल करें लाइफ में, हमारे ओवरऑल पर्सनल फाइनेंस को हम कैसे देखें, while taking into account the risk profile, the time horizon, the investment objectives and constraints, सभी चीजों को देखते हुए किस तरह से हम आगे बढ़ें. That is something which forget about the 99%. I think even in the 1% it is not there. Of course, the 1% has access to all the advisors, good fund managers. बाकी सबको तो access भी नहीं है. लेकिन even in that 1%, that mindset is still developing. So to take it to the next 19 will require a lot of education and effort by us as well as the industry and the regulator.
So you spoke about using technology to sort of now reach out to all of it. What do you feel is the next step on technology, where it can go in terms of for personal finance and for, say, since we have mutual funds, I'll probably bring that equation into portion.
Sure.
That while we are seeing adoption rates go up and all of it, it's still something which needs conversation. It still needs that human touch.
Right.
Because for everyone, the goals are different.
Right.
And is technology now capable to sort of have that interface for that person?
Sure. So see, when we think, I mean, as a founder, maybe I would want everything today, but it doesn't work that way, unfortunately, in the real world, right?
Yeah.
It's a gradual evolution. And as you said, see, earlier, maybe people were just chasing returns. Now they have come to the next level where maybe they are thinking of some goals and a product linked to it. The next step would be comprehensive planning, something which is being done for the top 1% anyways. First, understanding चाहिए, awareness चाहिए, जो हम भी create करेंगे, industry भी करेगी, regulator भी करेंगे. Second क्या चाहिए कि डेटा चाहिए बहुत सारा, राइट? आज यूजर की अगर हमारे पास इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं होगी, देन हाउ डू वी गिव द राइट एडवाइस टू द यूजर? तो वो डेटा के लिए वो कलेक्शन जो है वो थोड़ा एफर्ट है. आज यूजर की तरफ से भी रेजिस्टेंस होता है. बट दिस होल
अकाउंट एग्रीगेशन इज
exactly with this whole AA framework which has come into picture. Of course, there is a lot of refinement needed.
Sure.
It's not perfect today, wherein you can get the data in the form you want, which you can collect on an offline basis from somebody who's investing a much larger ticket size, who you're guiding on a one-to-one basis.
Right.
Through the AA framework, शायद उस लेवल पे पहुंचने में 1-2-3 साल और लग जाए, लेकिन हम पहुंचेंगे वहां पे. And once we get there, then we will be able to provide comprehensive planning and advice to the larger masses also. So this is where technology has helped us to get them from
as an industry it is helping everyone.
So get them from just looking at it as an investment to a goal-based investment based on their risk profile, based on their time horizon. The next step would be to help them plan entire personal finance on the app. Will the human element go away completely? It cannot, because ट्रस्ट के लिए वो चाहिए, राइट? बट ह्यूमन एलिमेंट जब हमने शुरू भी किया था, हमको पता था ह्यूमन एलिमेंट कैन नॉट बी डन अवे विथ. लेकिन अगर 80% ऑफ द थिंग्स कैन बी डन विद टेक्नोलॉजी एंड विद दैट 20% ह्यूमन एलिमेंट, इट बिकम्स वायबल टू सर्विस दिस नेक्स्ट 19%.
राइट.
80% आर स्टिल स्ट्रगलिंग इन इंडिया टू इवन सेव, बट जो ये 19% कर रहे हैं टॉप 1% के बाद, उनको हम सर्विस कर पाएंगे with what we have, plus the evolving frameworks like AA, we will be able to service them to a very good quality with little human intervention.
So, because staying on that, we have two interesting data points which have come out yesterday.
Sure.
One is on the technology part, AI part, which has come out as a report that this will actually start helping a lot of people take better decisions.
Yes.
Right, and in India it could happen. And the other part is that by it's estimated that in 33 years India will be an aging population. Now, if I have to look at both of them, what do you feel that what is that industry at large and digital platforms at large can bring some solutions for people who are getting into that retiree age? Because like you said कि जो top percent है उनको तो सब मिल रहा है, access भी है, maybe see access probably has gone deeper with our mobile sort of transformation. Today mobile banking is actually higher than credit card spend also, so we are seeing those patterns. The smartphone penetration is also very high. But here is there you feel that there is that what it can address for that generation or that population?
So see, if you're talking about people 30 years later, so today they are maybe around 30s.
Yeah.
Right. And if we are able to get them into this journey of planning, saving, investing, spending accordingly, that will continue. So, and most of these people are tech savvy, right? People who are in 30s today. Above 45, maybe there are very few people. But below 45, the number is fairly distributed across age groups. So people are using technology already. Yes, trust is a factor. So which is beyond technology, right? In terms of knowing who are the people behind. Can I rely on them? Will they run away with my money? I mean, of course, we don't take the money. We are just advising. But there are a lot of misunderstandings, misinformation. People don't know. Once they know that, okay, anyways, we are not holding their money, it doesn't matter, right? Then it is only about the quality of advice. So, also through AI, so apart from the AA framework that we discussed, which will help in collection of data, through AI, we will be able to personalize, right? Once we have that data, we can give them personalized goals. That these could be your potential goals. Do you think you should start, saving for these goals? And of course, retirement could be one of them, depending on their age profile, income, other factors. We are also using AI in terms of the, chatbots, right? In terms of our engineering effort. So,
but that's at large across the industry.
Across the industry, yeah. But here it will be about personalization is something I can think, which is maybe, since it is eventually we would want to give them a whole comprehensive solution. The personalization is where we can use AI to suggest them that, based on your profile, these could be the potential goals you should start saving for.
Yeah.
Earlier, the retail investor would come, at the peak of the market cycle, invest in a year or so, see a 30-40% down turn, exit in panic, and then think that, this market is nothing but just a setta bazaar. Speculative element is there.
हिंदी में भी वही कहते हैं.
हाँ. तो उसकी जगह पे मुझे लग रहा है जो बिहेवियर में चेंज आया है, जो SIP वाला कल्चर अभी बना है, where first of all they are not coming at the peak but at various levels. Of course, some people might be coming now closer to market peak, but a good number have come earlier, and they have been investing in SIPs in the last 3-4 years, some even for 6-7 years. Right. 2016-17 के बाद से काफी changes आ रहे हैं.
Yeah.
उस वजह से मुझे लग रहा है कि जो बिहेवियर पहले होता था कि पीक पे आके पैनिक में निकल जाओ, वो अब नहीं हो रहा है. एंड नाउ लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर एक्चुअली लुकिंग एट इट एज अ मीन्स ऑफ फुलफिलिंग देयर फाइनेंशियल गोल्स, एज अ मीन्स ऑफ अचीविंग वेल्थ. वो खाली स्पेकुलेटिव एलिमेंट की तरह जो पहले देख रहे थे सिर्फ उतना नहीं रह गया. अभी भी बहुत सारे लोग कर रहे हैं, बस वो स्पेकुलेशन
दैट इज ग्रेजुअली कम हो रहा है.
मतलब वो स्पेकुलेशन अभी शायद FNO मार्केट में शिफ्ट हो गया हो, लेकिन एटलीस्ट एज फार एज द इन्वेस्टमेंट्स आर कंसर्न, मेरे को लग रहा है कि काफी हद तक वो चेंज आ रहा है. हाँ, मिस्टेक्स अभी भी लोग करेंगे. मे बी स्मॉल कैप्स अभी रिचली वैल्यूड है, वो स्मॉल कैप्स खरीदेंगे, फिर थोड़ा बुरा एक्सपीरियंस होगा. लेकिन ऐसा नहीं होगा कि उनके पास के 10 लोग जो हैं सभी का बुरा एक्सपीरियंस है. उनके आसपास के सर्कल के 5 लोग ऐसे हैं जिन्होंने थोड़े ढंग के फंड्स लिए, चाहे खुद से लिए, चाहे उन्हें एडवाइस सही किया गया, और उनका एक्सपीरियंस अगर सही है तो उससे उनको रियलाइज है कि हाँ चलो मैंने गलती की शायद, लेकिन ये चीज खराब नहीं है।
दैट्स वेरी
तो
इंपॉर्टेंट।
वो एक मुझे लगता है कि मेजर चेंज है, जहाँ पे स्पेकुलेशन सिर्फ करते करते अभी कुछ लोग एटलीस्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट की तरफ आ गए हैं, एंड दे विल कंटिन्यू। मतलब डाउन टर्न आए, कुछ भी आए, दे विल कंटिन्यू, क्योंकि उनको समझ में आ गया कि चलो अगर हम कंटिन्यूड करते रहेंगे तो इवेंचुअली वी विल सी सम गुड वेल्थ जनरेटेड फॉर अस।
So over a period of time, and in a way you are you're right that the earlier market cycles, और हर market में होता है वो, you have a early cycle investor, mid cycle investor and late cycle investor, and whenever he has come in the market and when the cycle has turned, each guy's experience is different, right? And each investor's experience is different, and that to an extent now is that maybe we always had a lot chunk of people coming in one pocket, right? Either they came in mid or they came in late. Now we are seeing some are coming in early, some are coming in mid, and some are coming in, and that is market,
right? And they're investing regularly,
right?
So averaging out होते जा रहे हैं,
correct. And that's also very important, क्योंकि जब उनके बीच में जो conversations होती हैं उसमें if people find there are other options, नहीं तो क्या होता है, generally people chase what is the best,
right?
But अब जब options खुल गए हैं and people are looking at different opportunities within that, right.
So कल मैं एक फ्रेंड को मिला तो उसने बताया कि पहले FNO कर रहा था, लेकिन FNO बंद कर दिया, लेकिन म्यूचुअल फंड चल रहा है क्योंकि म्यूचुअल फंड में रिटर्न ठीक ठाक बन रहे हैं, SIP करते आ रहा हूँ मैं 6 साल से। तो लोगों को समझ में आ रहा है कि ठीक है, यहाँ पे अगर हम एक बिहेवियर अपनाएं जो स्टडी बिहेवियर है कंटिन्यूसली इन्वेस्ट करने का, तो देन यू नो इवेंचुअली दे आर गेटिंग यूज्ड टू इट। मतलब ठीक है, वो रेजिस्टेंस नहीं है कि क्या होगा अभी आगे, मतलब या वो स्पेकुलेटिव बिहेवियर नहीं कि हाँ चलो अभी मैं डाल रहा हूँ और 6 महीने बाद मैं पैसा डबल कर लूंगा, वैसा नहीं सोच रहे। वो सोच रहे हैं कि चलो हम डालते रहें अगले 10-20 सालों तक भी।
तो अगर हम बिहेवियर की बात कर रहे हैं तो उसके साथ में रिस्क इज ऑल्सो वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट,
राइट?
क्या आज इन्वेस्टर्स का अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ देयर ओन रिस्क, वन इज मार्केट रिस्क विच आई थिंक फेयरली लोग अब समझना शुरू कर रहे हैं, ऑफ कोर्स देयर इज लॉट ऑफ एजुकेशन रिक्वायर्ड ऑन दैट, बट अंडरस्टैंडिंग देयर ओन रिस्क,
राइट?
व्हाट डू यू फील वेयर वी आर?
टाइम लगेगा उसमें, क्योंकि मार्केट का रिस्क भी जो आपने कहा कई लोग समझ रहे हैं, लेकिन अभी भी बहुत से लोग हैं जो नहीं समझते। मतलब ब्रॉड इक्विटी का रिस्क उन्हें पता है, लेकिन स्पेसिफिक सेगमेंट्स का उन्हें नहीं पता है कि आज अगर एक सेगमेंट ज़्यादा रिचली वैल्यूड है, एक कम रिचली वैल्यूड है या रिलेटिवली लेस एक्सपेंसिव है, तो हमें कहाँ इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए वो उन्हें नहीं पता है। वो खाली देख रहे हैं कि पिछले 1-2-3 साल में किसने अच्छा परफॉर्म किया, स्मॉल कैप ने अच्छा परफॉर्म किया, चलो हम ठीक है स्मॉल कैप फंड्स में पैसा डालते हैं। तो वो वाला अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं है व्हेन इट कम्स टू मार्केट रिस्क। मे बी एग्रीगेट उन्हें समझ रहा है कि इक्विटी में रिस्क है। सेकेंड, व्हेन इट कम्स टू द पर्सनल रिस्क प्रोफाइल, वो 99.9% लोगों को नहीं पता है। और कई बार तो ऐसा होता है कि उन्हें लगता है कि मैं बहुत एग्रेसिव हूँ, लेकिन एक्चुअल में वो है नहीं,
राइट?
क्योंकि जब प्रोफाइलिंग की जाए तो पता चल जाता है कि उनके रिस्पॉन्सेज के बेसिस पे कि तो कुछ मॉडरेट या कंजर्वेटिव है।
यू फील द आंसर टू द फैक्ट?
गुड पॉइंट। तो कई बार ऐसा भी होता है कि लोग शेयर भी नहीं करना चाहते, वो बहुत ज़्यादा सोच के आंसर करते हैं, तो वो गलत भी हो सकता है। लेकिन आई वोंट से कि सभी वैसा कर रहे हैं। मैक्सिमम लोग, स्पेशली अगर उन्हें कहा जाए कि आपको इंट्यूटिवली आंसर करना, वो कर देते हैं फटाफट आंसर। बट हाँ, इसमें उनको खुद को नहीं पता होता है कि उनकी रिस्क प्रोफाइल क्या है। ऑल्सो रिस्क प्रोफाइल एक पार्ट हो गया, या रिस्क एक पार्ट हो गया, मतलब इन जनरल वेदर लिंक टू प्रोफाइल और नॉट, रिटर्न्स और लिक्विडिटी। तो आज की तारीख में जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो रिटर्न्स की ही है कि रिटर्न चाहिए, रिटर्न बनना चाहिए, लेकिन रिस्क और लिक्विडिटी वाले जो फैक्टर्स हैं उसकी फुल अंडरस्टैंडिंग लोगों को अभी भी नहीं है। हो रहा है, इवॉल्व हो रहा है, समझ में आ रहा है। और जब पर्सनल रिस्क प्रोफाइल की बात आ रही है तो टॉलरेंस एक चीज हो गई, दूसरा कैपेसिटी भी होनी चाहिए।
आज एक्सप्लेन।
सो टॉलरेंस है कि चलिए आपका जो अगेन ये टर्मिनोलॉजी है, ठीक है, अलग अलग लोग इसको अलग अलग तरीके से देखेंगे, लेकिन मैं जो कह रहा हूँ उसमें एक है कि विलिंगनेस है, आप रिस्क लेना चाहते हैं,
ओके,
लेकिन दूसरी तरफ क्या आपकी फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन है रिस्क लेने के लिए, क्योंकि मे बी देयर इज समबडी हु इज यंग, वो सोचता है कि हाँ मैं तो अभी यंग हूँ, मैं रिस्क ले सकता हूँ, लेकिन उसके पास लोन्स क्या है, उसका जो लोन्स के पेमेंट्स कब आने वाले हैं, अगर उस दौरान मार्केट अगर नीचे चला जाए तो क्या,
करेक्ट,
तो वो सब जो है कि कैपेसिटी मेरी है कि नहीं, वो लोगों को नहीं पता होती है बहुत बार, वो अपने सिर्फ विलिंगनेस के हिसाब से वो एक्ट कर लेते हैं।
एंड रिवर्स भी है,
रिवर्स भी है। आज ऐसा भी है कि किसी के पास 50-100 करोड़ हो गए, लेकिन उनका माइंडसेट वैसा नहीं है, थोड़ा सा मार्केट ऊपर नीचे होता है तो वो ऊपर नीचे हो जाते हैं। तो कैपेसिटी है उनकी,
राइट,
उनके खर्चे कुछ नहीं है, सरप्लस पड़ा है, शायद अगले 10 साल भी उन्हें उस पैसे की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन वो जो मार्केट वोलेटिलिटी है उसको वो हैंडल नहीं कर सकते, तो वैसा भी होता है।
सो नेट अगर कहें कि 800 सीसी की कार में आप अगर 120 130 पे जाने की क्षमता रखते हैं, बट ऑब्वियसली दैट विल कम विद इट्स ओन रिस्क्स, राइट, एंड मोस्ट ऑफ दिस कार्स विल आल्सो नॉट हैव द एडिक्वेट सेफ्टी फीचर्स, राइट, और वही आप 2000 सीसी की कार है विच कैन गो एंड डू इट, ऑफ कोर्स हमारे यहाँ लिमिट है, 100 के ऊपर नहीं जा सकते, बट सो यू सेइंग it's almost similar, right, that you have it but obviously you cannot drive it, and somebody who wants to drive it but probably does not have the right vehicle. Yeah. But this so you feel that there is opportunity to educate people on this also, because most of the education is still happening about investment shuru karo. When is that we as an industry could probably cross that stage? Right. And then talk more about this factor, right. what you said.
At a industry level, maybe आपको ज़्यादा बेहतर पता होगा मुझसे, लेकिन at a individuals level, जब वो फर्स्ट टाइम आ रहा है तो उस समय तो उसे इन्वेस्ट करवाना है, right. तो आज जो स्पेंड इन्वेस्टिंग का भी कॉन्सेप्ट है उसमें वही है कि लॉन्ग टर्म गोल की जगह पहले उसके एस्पिरेशनल गोल जो हैं, जो अगले साल 2 साल 3 साल में कंप्लीट होने हैं, ट्रैवल, ज्वेलरी, गैजेट, उसको उस बहाने कम से कम सेव कराना तो शुरू कराएं, हम इन्वेस्ट कराना तो शुरू कराएं। वंस दे आर इन दैट जर्नी और हम उनको फिर लॉन्ग टर्म गोल्स की तरफ लेके जा रहे हैं, तब उस समय उन्हें ये चीज़ें समझाई जा सकती है कि रिस्क को भी आपको देखना है, सिर्फ रिटर्न को नहीं देखना है। और अलग अलग जो प्रोडक्ट्स होते हैं अलग अलग गोल्स के लिए, अलग अलग टाइम होराइजन के लिए सूटेबल होते हैं। इक्विटी एक लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए ज़्यादा सूटेबल है, शॉर्ट टर्म के लिए मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम शायद डेट ज़्यादा सूटेबल है। तो जब उन्हें एक बार वो जर्नी में आ चुके हैं, उनको थोड़ा टाइम हो गया है, व्हेन दे आर मोर रिसेप्टिव अबाउट दिस इन्वेस्टमेंट, तब हम उन्हें एजुकेट कर सकते हैं। नाउ ऑलरेडी आज कुछ लोग हो गए जिनके 2 साल हो गए, कुछ लोग हैं जो आज शुरू कर रहे हैं, तो उनको शायद 1-2 साल बाद चीजें समझानी पड़ेगी।
सो इट कैन नॉट बी जेनेरिक।
हाँ, क्योंकि एक साथ आप सब कुछ समझाने जाओगे तो उसको कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा।
राइट। इस नाउ फॉर दिस हाउ डू गोल्स हेल्प in their behavior and in terms of their say achievement and staying the course? What as per you, what is the goal का कोई purpose है क्या? तो and why I'm asking you, I'll give you one analogy here. Is recently a very large online travel portal came up with this report about 4-5 months back. And it said that 1/3 of the international bookings are happening less than, so 2/3 are happening less than a month. 1/3 is happening before.
Right.
So while you can have a vacation goal, when they are finding opportunity, they are taking it. Does that disrupt also the goal planning?
Very true. So I'll just tell you. See, every user is not the same. Every investor is not the same. There are people who want to plan. People who plan for everything, and there are people who will plan for some selected large ticket goals, and then there are people who don't want to plan. They don't want to have that cognitive load.
So from market point of view, now we spoke about goals, we spoke about behaviors, all of this sort of then goes out of the window if market corrects, right? And you tend to sort of be jittery about it. इन्वेस्टर्स भी आएंगे, वो भी सवाल पूछेंगे कि क्या करना चाहिए। मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम हमारे भी जब इवेंट होते हैं, 2 क्वेश्चंस आर कॉमन. अभी क्या करना चाहिए और कहाँ करना चाहिए. These are 2 questions which generally come in. On the digital side, since we have the hindsight of data, do you think people, when they do this, do they actually execute, or it's more to do with like उसने भर तो दिया कि मुझे ये करना है, but then he doesn't sort of execute that, या कुछ और कर लेता है, and that is more to do with market condition क्या है. Is there data points to this now available, or we still have some time to go on that?
So, see, I mean, to have a full picture, maybe we'll need some more, years of data. But especially because in the last 3 years, it has been a one-way journey in markets, and people have not seen a meaningful downside yet. Having said that, I think as a platform, it depends on what the platform is doing, right? If the platform is just listing a set of funds and the user is just going and buying that fund, or is the platform giving them the fund which is suitable based on their time horizon, right? Now, suppose for a 6-month goal, a debt fund is given. Even if the equity market corrects, it makes no difference. The goal is still fulfilled. So, the right asset allocation is what is important, and if that is something, if whether people start doing on their own or they do it with the help of advisors, platforms, that is what is more important. इंडिया में अनफॉर्चुनेटली क्या है कि लोग एफडी करते हैं 20 साल के लिए, मतलब कोई 20 साल की एफडी नहीं बनाता है, एक 2 साल की बनाते हैं, रोलिंग करते रहते हैं, 1-2-5 साल की बनाते हैं, उसको रोल करते जाते हैं. करेक्ट. तो 20 साल के लिए फिक्स इनकम में पैसा डाल रहे हैं, लेकिन 6 महीने के लिए इक्विटी में डालेंगे कि 6 महीने में पैसा डबल हो जाना चाहिए. होना चाहिए उल्टा. तो वो जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो आ रही है धीरे धीरे, लेकिन लॉट मोर education and awareness is needed for having that right asset allocation in line with the goals and requirements. तो जब वो होना शुरू हो जाएगा, तो फिर मार्केट मूवमेंट से क्या फर्क पड़ता है. अगर आपने डेट फंड में डाला है पैसा, हाँ, अगर इंटरेस्ट रेट्स में ही कोई बहुत ज्यादा मूवमेंट हो जाए तो वो एक अलग बात है, लेकिन उसके लिए अगेन द राइट फंड हैज टू बी चोजन. 6 महीने का है तो हम बॉन्ड फंड तो नहीं दे सकते या गिल्ड फंड तो नहीं दे सकते. राइट. सो दैट इज हाउ इट इज. मतलब अगर एलोकेशन सही होगा तो वो बिहेवियर जो है वो काफी चेंज हो जाएगा.
राइट. सो गिव मी लाइक फॉर 2 people, like let's take it for an example that somebody who is a 30-year-old today has maybe had a milestone change in his life, या तो शादी हो गई है या बच्चा हो गया, and somebody who is say 50 years, who's now looking at maybe next 10 years of working, has to plan, will retire and all of it. For them, both of them, both of their goals will of course be different, but do they still need exposure to equities in the same fashion, or it can change?
It will definitely be different for each, because as I said earlier, personal finance is personal. तो उनका रिस्क प्रोफाइल क्या है, उनके गोल्स क्या हैं, गोल्स का टाइम होराइजन क्या है, अमाउंट क्या है, सभी चीज़ों को देखते हुए एलोकेशन सजेस्ट करना पड़ेगा. हो सकता है एक 50-year-old के लिए भी 90% इक्विटी माइट बी अ गुड एलोकेशन, क्योंकि अगर उनकी और कोई रिक्वायरमेंट्स नहीं है, अगले 10 साल वो काम करने वाले हैं, पैसा 10 साल के बाद चाहिए, तो 90%
he may live long also, who knows.
हाँ, तो वो रिटायरमेंट प्लानिंग तो एक अलग एस्पेक्ट हो गया. मैं जस्ट एक टाइम होराइजन के हिसाब से बता रहा हूँ कि अगर उन्हें 10 साल पैसे चाहिए ही नहीं, तो इक्विटी एज एन एसेट क्लास इज एन ऑप्शन फॉर हिम, इवन फॉर अ वेरी हाई एलोकेशन. कि अगर उन्हें जो नियर टर्म रिक्वायरमेंट्स के लिए उनका 10% अगर फंड सफिशिएंट है, सो दैट इज इनफ. लेकिन अगर किसी 30-year-old को अगले 1 साल में घर खरीदना है, डाउन पेमेंट करना है, या 2 साल में गाड़ी खरीदनी है, या बच्चे का स्कूल के एडमिशन के लिए कुछ पैसा चाहिए, तो अगले 1 या 2 साल के लिए तो हम इक्विटी नहीं दे सकते उन्हें.
Correct.
भले उनका रिस्क प्रोफाइल एग्रेसिव भी हो, लेकिन अगर उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट है और अगर मार्केट वैल्यूएशंस रिच हैं आज की तारीख में, तो दैट्स अ वेरी रिस्की एलोकेशन टू सजेस्ट.
Right. So I think Vikas, probably today we have conversed about many things. First, of course, scrutiny to personal finance of your own journey, and also in terms of what trends you're seeing, how platforms are now devising new strategies to sort of come up with a solution and be more personalized in nature. And in terms of behaviors, we discussed a lot that, you know, for people, I think the key takeaway for me is what you mentioned about the risk taking capacity and ability, you know, and people should be able to identify that, and that is very important. And probably we all of us need to speak a little bit more about it as we go ahead.
Sure.
So on that note, Vikas, thank you for coming to our show.
Thank you.
And having this very candid conversation with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so that was Vikas from Multiple, and we will conclude this episode here. We will see you again next time with another guest. Thank you.
Thank you.
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।